What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Pitter Patter Pops. Today we're talking about the new the man, the myth, the absolute legend that is Part 4 Jotaro voiced. I get the devs of this game, I guess, just decided there's only two valid JoJo characters, and that is Part 4 Jotaro and Risotto, because they can't seem to make one of either of those characters that's not ridiculous. So this is going to be the first of many videos where I just play with voiced Jotaro, voiced Part 4 Jotaro. I have to specify because Part 3, yeah, they love Part 4 Jotaro, but they hate Part 3 Jotaro. Part 3 Jotaro is always terrible. But Part 4, my god. I wish I had enough tickets to get him to Super Attack or skill level blah, 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 5. I don't. I'm missing 434. That's a lot. So that's probably not going to happen anytime soon, but that's my next goal. Because the cooldown is, you definitely notice the difference. It's a what, 15 drop? That's pretty significant. But he's still crazy. There's argument right now if he's the best character in the game or not, if he's better than the original version. And I think that you could make an argument in either direction. I'm not ready to pick a side on it yet, I guess. I think both. I think they're number 1 and number 2. I think he's, at worst, he's the second best time stopper. It's between either his original self or his current self for who is the best. He's so ridiculous, you guys. Let's play. Oh my god, he's so insane. And the best part is he works with everybody. He works with just everybody. There's not a single character, really, that he's, like, atrocious with. Oh, I have a Pulner Fox already. God, and he has the best animation in the game. Tell me that's not the best thing. Ugh, didn't make it to stand-up time. That sucks. Oh, damn it. I did that to myself. So he works like Hideo, essentially. Where you just, you punch the screen over and over again instead of, like, making matches like, the other time stoppers do. Which, by the way, is my favorite kind of time stopping, is that. Damn it, Yukako. Screwing me over in every direction right now. Anyway, oh man, I completely lost my train of thought. Yeah, he works like Hideo. You just mash the screen really hard. I get so distracted because my brain is not big enough to focus on multiple things at one time. That's my favorite kind of time stopper, is the go at it masher ones. I just have more fun doing that. They're like less stressful. Because for me, Part 4 Jotaro is kind of stressful to use, like the OG one. He kind of stresses me out. Because I'm always like, oh, I gotta hurry, gotta hurry, gotta hurry. I don't get that level of, like, concern from this one. This one's just fun to start throwing hands, you know? And it's the same with Hideo. Like, that's why I've always liked playing Hideo. It's because it's fun to just throw hands and start punching. Punches, punches, punches. Damn, that's okay. The 4x4 was unrealistic, or the 5x5 was unrealistic anyway. And you can see how nice it would be if I had him at 5 instead of 4. Because he'd be hitting his max cooldown at the end of this, which he's not because he's only a skill level 4. So that actually is one thing that I'll say. He's a lot like Hideo. He's significantly better than Hideo in terms of the actual strength value of his ability. But he's a little bit more cost intensive, I guess you could say. You're paying for it with him, if that makes any sense. You know, he needs to guarantee... Oh, no, Polnareff, jerk. To guarantee maximum output from him, you're always swinging for that skill level 5. He's got the skill level 5 illness, the disease, where he wants to be skill 5. That doesn't mean that he's like useless if he's not skill 5, because he's still ridiculous. And that is an advantage that his other self has to an extent over him, is that he is not quite as dupe dependent. But like even at skill level 4, he's good. He's getting the job done just fine. And he has, I believe, a higher multiplier than his old self does. A higher like damage multiplier on what he does. I believe. You know, don't quote me on it, but I'm like 90% sure that that's correct. Polnareff, you dick. Ah, you're such an asshole. Polnareff. Ugh. Crap. Do not drop a risotto before you drop before Jotaro. No! Always. But yeah, see, like I'm not getting that last little bit because he's not skill level 5, which sucks. Like I'm pretty sure there's a video, I would have to find it again, of this exact team with a skill level 5 part 4 voice Jotaro, and it's just like it's like looping old school style with the original risotto. It's crazy. Anyway, I'm actually going to talk about the unit now because I keep losing my train of thought when I have to mash the buttons. When I have to punch the screen, I blank. I start seeing red and I just start wanting to aura the screen. So let's actually talk about what he does. So what he does basically is he stops time for 7 seconds. Okay, you can see the seconds here, 3, 5, and 7. And you mash the screen like Hideo, so you punch all the different tiles, and he breaks whatever combo that you punch. So like if you hit a stack of 10 Brunos, he's gonna break all 10. But if you hit a stack of like 1, it'll only break the 1. So he'll break any connected tiles of the same kind. And he builds a little bit less stand-up gauge. See it, you can see it. I don't know if, I mean, it's a number, so you can even see it in Japanese. It's 0.8. That's how much stand gauge he builds in comparison to normal. So he builds 0.8 instead of 1 times like what the normal rate is when you're punching. And then as you're breaking tiles, you spawn charged Part 4 Jotaro tiles. So he's a little bit harder to get into stand-up than Dio is because of the way the end of his skill works, where he spawns all those charged tiles of himself, and then they stay. So you can use it to build a big block at the end. It's a pretty easy 3x3, 4x4, whatever, you know, as long as you don't get screwed over by your tiles. At the end of stand-up time, but Hideo breaks those instead, which is not as good. It's just easier to get into stand-up time. Jotaro's version is much better because it's easy to get these charged stand-up times as well. There's really no inherent weakness in the character. I mean, it's the only real weakness is that he wants the skill level 5 cooldown, but I feel like when you're talking about like the best characters in the game and the end game and ranking top 100, blah blah blah, you always want the, I guess it's top 200 now because top 100 and top 200 are effectively the same thing, reward wise. You're talking about skill level 5 characters anyway. Like, nobody's using a skill level 3 voiced risotto and they're getting, 90 million or whatever the hell the record is right now. So I'm not really going to hold that against him. I think skill level 5 is just something that they want you to want in characters in this game. However unrealistic that may be. But if you're not someone that's pushing for top 100 or 200, you don't need to be skill level 4 or 5. Like, to me, skill level 4 is like the reasonably achievable level that you can just get by putting in a little bit, whereas skill level 5 is like the hard whale point. Like, that's the Moby Dick point of no return, where you're just going ham. And that's not super reliable or realistic for 90% of the people. Skill level 4 is not like super realistic for free-to-play people, but it's more realistic than 5. But like Voice Risotto, you're using him at 5 mostly. The difference between 4 and 5 is just not as pronounced. The difference between 4 and 5 feels very pronounced with sort of like the original Risotto. You remember how the original Risotto at skill level 5, he actually got a lot better because he got an additional effect. Like, he got more tiles to change as well as a cooldown decrease. So that's a really noticeable jump from 4 to 5. This also feels like a really noticeable jump from 4 to 5. But he's still really great without it. I do think that if we're not talking max capacity, like we're just talking the unit at lower skill levels, I think that Part 4 Jotaro's, the original version right here, is easier to make better, if that makes sense. I think that he, like, at skill level 4, I think he's more consistent than the voiced version at skill level 4, because like you saw in the last one, it took a lot of work for me to end a stand-up time with his whole skill back, just because of the cooldown length is really the only real reason. So he's a little bit easier, but I think that this Jotaro, because he is the tap style of time stop instead of the matches, he's actually easier to use, because tapping is obviously easier than making big matches in stand-up time. He has a higher damage multiplier, so you saw like Voice Risotto was doing like 2.5 million instead of the 1-some million that he does with the original version. So he's already really great with the characters that are really good. He's honestly really great with so many people. I have more of these that I want to do, that just to highlight how great he is with like everyone. I have a bunch of people have been recommending me teams to use with him. I got requests for like voiced old Joseph and him and all this stuff. So if you have any requests of characters you want me to use with him, let me know in the comments and we'll mess around. Because I genuinely think that he might have what it takes to dethrone the original. We're probably not going to see the original too much in... I wish you could see top 200, just because, again, ranking-wise, they're effectively not any different. But I don't think we're going to see too much difference. I really like the Abacchio combination. I think that's super smart and super cool. Really neat way to use an underutilized character. Voice Risotto, obviously, is going to be everywhere. That's never going to go away. I like the Hideo use because they're kind of the same thing. But again, like, look at all these characters that he's with. Voice Risotto, Original Risotto, Bag Polnareff, Abacchio. I don't know this one. This one weirds me out with the part 3, or the third voiced Jonathan. Don't really get that one. But Rohan, totally viable. Prosciutto, I get. He weirded me out at first, but he's very viable choice. Voice Josuke, obviously. He's just like... He's the complete package, man. Like, he's the no debate top tier. Like, there should be no debate that he's one of the best characters in the game. Top 5, easily. I even think top 5 is not fair, because I think there's no way he's lower than, like, number 2, personally. So take that for what you will. But We'll be back tomorrow with another one with him with even more characters. I don't know how many I'm gonna do, just because I don't know. I just like him, you guys. He's my favorite character in the game right now, I think. But we'll talk more about that tomorrow. I just wanted to get some information out there and some gameplay. Well, tomorrow we'll talk more about why I love the unit specifically and some other characters that he can be used with. So I will talk to you guys later. Goodbye.